now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
is going on, everybody? Happy Friday across the multiverse of media. Well, two of us anyway, because it's a tape show. We're not doing this shit live. But we are the dads, not always on wrestling. And it says it right there and everywhere else across the background. Today we are wrestling. I am, of course, Jeff Meacham, the West Coast Professor, live via tape from JMN Towers. To my right on screen, to my left in my heart, the CEO of the Constantine Studios himself, the Renegade JJ Williams, Renegade of Wrestling JJ Williams, because it's a wrestling show today. And man, it is already mid-May, Jay. It feels like we just came out of WrestleMania in some respects. Some respects, it's like, God damn, it's only May 19th. Like, jeez. So, yeah, May 19th. Don't say it out loud. Ironically enough, and I'm going to give a spoiler for mine right here and now. You will not see Kane on my list of top 10 heels of all time. Just didn't feel strong. Well, there you go. So the whole reason we themed this show to May 19th was because of Kane, and he's not even on our list. So good for us. But yes, today's show, as you have been hearing all week long across the promotional tools of the power of the man, the myth, legend, Jeff Meacham, as I'm called for reasons, I guess, is top 10 all-time heels. Now, when we were talking about this over the weekend, we said to ourselves, did we go all-time or do we want to do modern heels? And you pointed out to me that while the initial discussion may have been for modern heels, how does one define modern? And I said, well, we're going to do, the modern era, post-ruthless aggression. He goes, JJ goes, so when I wasn't watching most of it. Got it. I went, that's a fair point. Ergo, all time is the rule of the game today.
Yeah, because if we did the modern era, I asked him, how do you define modern? He's like, the last 10 years, which is when I then made that comment. So it's like, okay, let's see. Heels that I've seen within the last 10 years. And we're going back to 2013. And keep in mind, I stopped watching in 2014.
Yes, officially.
So Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, Austin Theory,
Sami Zayn for a cup of coffee. yeah, Trish now. Yeah.
And I'm only on 7. I'm struggling here,
Yeah, leave the poor bastard on the vine, as I do. Oh, Lord. Oh, that's true, because you've only... Wow, that's
JD McDonough.
Joe Gacy.
Yeah, the dyad. So there we go. There's my 10 of the modern era.
All right, good night, everybody. My turn. Okay.
And people are going to look at me and be like,
the fuck?
Really?
Really?
What the hell, Renegade?
Why do you do that, Fo?
He said the last 10 years. So there you go.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay. All time.
It was what it was in the discussion over the weekend, kids. And as you know, we're taping ahead. We always do. I even put it out that we were taping Tuesday morning. So, but yeah, we figured, okay, let's not leave Jay completely hanging on that vine, if you will. Because
for real, like I'd be struggling. I'll be Zach Gowen trying to climb that vine one-armed.
Damn, and Zach
he only got one leg to try.
He only got one leg, so there you go. Not only is he trying to climb it with a one-legged man, he's using the wrong analogy. So he done all fucked up over here with this guy. My goodness.
No, I use that analogy on purpose. It's like,
oh, okay.
I did that on purpose because everybody should know Zach Gowen is already a one-legged man.
Yes.
So to then try to only use one arm to pull you up with only one leg to wrap around the vine, that's a struggle.
That's fair. Fair point. But
you already struggling if you're trying to use both hands with one leg wrapped around it.
That's right.
You're struggling even harder if you're only using one arm.
Yeah, we should have Zach Gowen.
I feel like now that I had to explain the joke, it became insanely less funny, but okay.
No. It was funnier than hell because it was trying to have me struggle trying to figure it out. How, like, okay, I don't understand, and it's Friday, but it's really Tuesday, and my brain can't wrap that around either one of those right now. So we'll just keep nodding and smiling as if we made total sense to each other, and we'll go on to this part of the show. All right. So with that being said, it is a wrestling show.
Yes.
So therefore, some Renegade of Wrestling, Dads. Yeah, I think we're good on a Friday. And yes,
we're both wearing wrestling shirts. Neither one of us is shilling the multiverse today.
Well, no, because we are terrible corporate partners, clearly. But spoiler alert also. But yeah, please buy the shirts over ProWrestlingTees.com/Jeff Meacham Network at Teespring. Look up Jeff Meacham Network, you'll find that shit. Oh no, sorry, it's not Teespring, it's just Spring because tease a dirty word like wrestling's dirty word in the McMahon, I guess. Whatever. Because they have more than just t-shirts, so I can't just be Teespring. Because it'd be hat spring, sweater swing. Try to say that 5 times fast when you're first waking up. Sweater swing. It's still messed up. Yeah, no. But anyway, there's Jeff Meacham Network and Casa Teen Studios centric merchandise across their own version of a multiverse. Go buy that shit for us. And while you're at it, spoiler alert for the next show. It's also a wrestling centric show, which will be the Dads on Wrestling in 2 weeks as well, because the way the calendar fell, you'll understand. It'll be okay.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. JJ, my friend, it is Friday. We are getting ready to head into that SmackDown, if you will. Where are you at with your top 10 all time of the bad guys in wrestling? I don't just mean Scott Hall either.
Okay, so like I told you before we started film, I have people. Clearly, I have my 10. I do have an honorable mention as well.
Okay.
And I have solid reasons why I picked these people, but I'm not sure if I have like the strongest list possible.
Okay.
So what I tried to do is I tried to diversify my portfolio.
Oh.
And with the exception of the WWEF, I tried to have at least one heel from every major organization that I have seen live, if you will.
Wow. Okay. I like that. I actually like that because that's definitely going to be completely different than the way I approached it. So that's, as usual, we're taking different approaches, but we'll probably arrive at some of the same answers.
Now there are a few people on this list that I didn't get to see in their full specter live, and I either saw them on television or via Memorex or whatever.
Right.
On the cock via on demand stuff.
Doom.
But I'd say a good chunk of these guys I've either seen live do their thing or I have in fact met over the years.
Cool.
Number 10 for me, starting it off, is the oldest entry on my list. And let me just get this out here before I get really rolling.
Yes.
No, I don't have Piper on my list. I left Piper off on purpose because the majority of the shit that I saw of him over the years, he was good guy.
Okay.
Yes, he had that heel run, WrestleMania 2, feuding with Hogan, but 90% of the shit I've seen of Piper over the years, he's been a babyface.
Okay.
So I did leave Piper off on purpose.
Okay, so
there's no Roddy Piper moment here.
Yeah. Okay. So
the neglect was intended, unlike Johnny B. Good over here.
Yeah. Marty B. Good was my Roddy Piper. It was what it was. I will say, by the way, I love how wrestling education for us now becomes on the Peacock app. The more you know. Doom. It's kind of ironic. Anyway.
Well, I mean, WWE DVDs aren't that big of a deal anymore. They seem to still release the PLEs on DVD.
Yes.
And I need to start getting back into those and collecting those. You know, just in case they randomly disappear off the Peacock because somebody goes and does something naughty like happened in 2007.
I know.
But I digress. So going back, number 10 is the oldest entry on my list.
Okay.
And it goes back to kind of that Hogan WrestleMania era and technically a little bit before all of that.
Okay.
Number 10 for me is the Iron Sheik with Classy Freddie Blassie.
Sheiky baby. Ah, yes. Love it. I
mean, there has never been anything redeeming about the Iron Sheik.
No.
The only time I can honestly think of where I saw Sheiky baby and he wasn't in full-blown heel mode was the Goonies Are Good Enough music video.
Right. No kidding.
No shit.
No, absolutely no shit at all. You're 100% accurate. I mean,
on that. You go on to his Twitter today, he is still in full heel mode. Chavo Guerrero wishes he could be the heel on Twitter that Iron Sheik is today. I'm just saying.
That's tremendous. That's a hell of an analogy. That one I got and I co-sign. Right on.
At least once a day, there's an F. Hulk Hogan tweet from Iron Sheik.
As there should be, that Hollywood blonde jabroni. Oh, Lordy.
And then classy Freddie Blassie as well, you know, his manager
Right.
at the time. Like,
Oh, yeah.
go back to the 60s and the 70s, you know, the Hollywood fashion plate. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he knew how to get under people's skin.
He did. My dad would tell you about Freddie at the Olympic and, you know, how he would have to, like, hope his car was still there. When as I say, his dad's car, when his dad took him to the Olympic to watch the old wrestling back in the day, because he was like, we're going to get home, right? Because, you know, they used to live in the San Fernando Valley, which wasn't near as prolific as it is now. But going into LA, oh, yeah, a little rough for the Meacham boys. So, you know, Freddie just made all that better. kind of like Roddy did when he was there. Man, damn heels at the Olympic Auditorium. Anyway, but yes. Great start. Love it.
Thank you. Number 9 for me, maybe a controversial name to throw out here.
Okay.
You know, he has been the subject of much controversy here in recent years.
Okay.
But nobody can deny me that when his music hits in a little sweat box in Southern California, the fans, except for one, not boo the crap out of this man.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
Joey Ryan.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's controversial. I know Joey is not looked at in the best light these days, despite the fact that he has never been proven guilty of anything.
True.
But I digress. Still, Joey Ryan is one of the 2 greatest heels I ever saw work the independent circuit. And number 1 of those 2 will be coming up a little bit later. Yeah, but I mean, between the X Foundation, between his solo run, between becoming champion and starting the dynasty, you know, I wasn't there when they were doing it, but what were him and Candace called? The cutest tag team or some shit like that?
And instead of Benjamin and Haas being the world's greatest tag team, they're the world's cutest tag team. Although their most famous moment, neither one of them looked all that cute, is particularly Candace and her bloody ass face.
Yeah, I saw that photo when I was looking for images of Joey, and I can't help but admit that I chuckled a little bit at the fact that she was bloody. I won't go further with my analogy, but just think of Once a Month in Women.
Whoa!
Joey barely looked like he had any blood on him.
Hey, you know what though? Whether you or I like either member of that team on any given day, we're talking about either member of the world's cutest tag team. The fact that they went to guerrilla warfare with the Bucks and Candace was the one that came out looking the worst, and they won the match anyway. That shit was, you know, talk about, you know, Beulah getting the "She's Hardcore" chant. Holy shit. Like, massive respect to all 4 of them. Whatever you think of the Bucks now, and I'm sure people just love the Bucks like I do now. And then Joey and Candace, like those 4 went into that. I remember, I think they were in Reseda by that point. Dude, always the props. I still have the pin. Somebody gave me the pin of Joey and Candace with the face. I'm like, I got to keep that just because. But yeah, Joey, again, he's not going to make my list. You know,
obviously
it is what it is, but I will give Joey his flowers for that because, man, you know, the picture you said, when you were showing the picture, it was like, you know, isn't looked at the best light. It's like, dude, he is a greased up, sleazy looking Hawaiian shirt wearing douchebag in that picture. That was the Joey Ryan character. Like, it just was. Everything that character was accused of, unfortunately, bled over into his personal life. It is what it is. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I loved the character of Joey Ryan in the ring, on the mic, or whatever, if for no other reason than that he made the Magnum PI theme from the 1980s relevant in 2000s professional wrestling.
Damn right.
And Tom Selleck is sitting there going, damn, I ain't done shit in years except Blue Bloods, man. I got to get my shtick back from this Joey Ryan kid.
Right.
Although Blue Bloods is a hell of a show.
Yes, it is. So number 8 for me comes to a newer company. Okay. Company's only been around, I want to say 4 years now. And I actually finally got to see the company earlier this year. All I'm going to say about this next heel
Oh,
is
boy.
he's better than you.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah, baby.
MJF.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
There is honestly no more interesting character all around on the product than Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Nope.
I very easily could have penciled my girl, that bitch Jade Cargill, in here,
Yeah.
but MJF truly is everything.
Yes.
Whereas we all know Jade lacks in ring.
Not as much.
Not as much. She's definitely grown in leaps and bounds since I started watching, for sure.
Hell yes.
But Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, is the total package.
He definitely is.
And the fact that his catchphrase is that he's better than you and you know it just screams arrogance to me. You know, like I'm waiting for Chris Bosch and Rick Martel to be coming out with a little spray, like for real.
Another team Joey was associated with that got a theme over that should have had no business being over 20 years after the fact. But the fact they used Martel's theme and gave no fucks about it. God bless Chris and Scott for that. Anyway, I digress.
So yeah. So MJF for me comes in as my number 8.
Oh, and again, Mac, like you said, Mac, by the way, he's not on my list, which I'm going to expunge on real quick or expand a little bit. Yeah, Max is what his catchphrase is. He is the best heel in the company for sure, quite possibly overall in the game for sure. And the only thing worse than that is the fact is that he knows it. Because he knows it and he just rules with it, and that's what makes him a great champion. Now, as we're taping this, we're still ahead of Double or Nothing, and that's been booked shaky.
Yeah.
And hopefully we come out of next weekend with much better stories for Max to be told and to tell about himself, because it's a rough road to Vegas, man. Well, the road to Vegas is rough anyway. It's hotter than shit. There's not much to see. But
depends on which way you go. I mean, there's plenty of touristy stops between this area of BFE and Vegas.
Once you get past Barstow, it's a little bit more prolific. But from up where y'all the Barstow, rough.
To be fair, from here to Barstow is like 20 minutes. It's not that big of a deal.
That's because y'all at BFE again, like I keep saying. But anyway, yes, props to Max. Good stuff.
My number 7 has pretty much been a heel in just about every company that he's been in.
Oh, he's a traveling man.
Yes. I mean, he's been a heel in WWF. He was heel in WCW. He was heel now in AEW. But he's probably best known for his run in TNA. Big Baller G's favorite.
Ha ha!
Jeff Jarrett.
Damn. Again.
Now that's JEFF JARRETT. Ain't he great?
Yes.
Former leader of the NWO, former member of the Four Horsemen. Fight me. I don't give a shit.
Former member of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
And with any luck,
Jarrett deserves his flowers. God damn it.
And with any luck, soon to be AEW World Tag Team Champions, having that belt be behind him on the podcast with the other 3.
That's right.
Damn it.
So yeah, Jeff Jarrett, I felt he definitely needed a spot on my list. And while that image does have the Rampage tag, he's technically representing for me from the TNA era.
Rolling on that A, but representing that T. I got you. And again, not on my list because I approach my list completely differently, but I will always sing the praises of the Chosen One, because he had to be a top heel in situations that were just by necessity a lot of times. At the end of the day, WCW 2000. That's the tweet.
I mean, and the one opportunity that the WWF truly had to pull the trigger and turn him babyface the night after Owen.
Yeah.
They chose not to.
No, they could have easily had him defeat Godfather for the Intercontinental title and just roll with that.
Mm-hmm.
But to their credit and to Russo's credit at the time, they doubled down on him being the misogynistic asshole. And right up to the end, right up to his departure, he was, for my money, in the hottest angle in the company that wasn't centered around the WWF Championship.
Yep.
He was always the talk of the town. He was in the ring with Stiller and Margolis and everybody else that came through SmackDown or whatever was the hot topic on, television at the time that was running through WWE. He was, putting Hall of Famers in the figure four and, giving the Hall of Famers El Kabong, and just as much as they initially gave him crap for possibly derailing Joni, let me be clear as one of Joni's former friends, that Intercontinental Championship win, had they actually done, how am I following the show? Fuck all with it, would have been so much more monumental, and would have been less monumental if it wasn't a strong champion like Jeff Jarrett in the first place. So
yep.
I will always sing Jeff's praises simply because at the end of the day, he didn't have to walk into that arena and do the thing for Joni, and he did it anyway.
Yep.
So for being such a heel asshole, I tip the cap for him on that.
There we go. And Big G, that one's for you.
Yeah. Sorry, got a little Joni verklempt on that one. I apologize.
It's okay. We're gonna turn things around here because my number 6 was the NWA champion. The very first time I ever saw the belt defended.
Yeah.
Adam Pearce, baby.
Featuring Angelo on the mic because, damn it, why shouldn't he be? I love us. Angelo turned to that. Anyway, carry on.
The scrap daddy, though, Adam Pearce. I mean, if all you know of Adam Pearce is what you see on Raw and SmackDown on WWE programming, then I am going to steal a quote from Dr. Dre and from Adam Pearce himself in that promo. Study a tape of NWA. Because this man was one of the most vile individuals of the last 20 years. His run as NWA champion would put people like Sheik and Triple H and Orton to shame.
Absolutely.
Because he was just that dastardly of an old school heel. Steve Corino may be the king of old school. I would argue that Adam Pearce usurped him for that name and just never claimed it.
Yeah. Adam Pearce was the greatest 80s heel that just happened to be in the 2010s.
Yeah.
That's a tweet. That's a tweet, brother. He always says love somebody today. We will always love the Scrap Daddy as the NWA heavyweight champion of the world because I will still die on the hill with a stick of Quiznot pizza through my heart saying he is the best NWA champion post TNA.
Mm-hmm. And that includes Cardona, that includes Cody, that includes Nick Aldis.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. All of them. Anybody.
Nothing of Tyrus.
Again, I think old George gets a little bit too much shit for carrying it right now because, dude, he's more than a for me at this point. But anybody after May 13th, 2007 that has held the NWA Championship has to live up to or surpass the standards of Adam Pearce.
Yep.
Period. End of sentence. Also not on my list, so that's why I went a little crazy on that.
Wow, I'm a little surprised that Pearce did not make your list.
Like I said,
I felt that a lot of mine here would not be on your list.
Right.
Pearce was one. MJF was one.
Nope.
And then I have two more coming up that I thought might peak on your list.
Well, we shall see. Yeah, for right now, you haven't hit anybody on my list.
Good.
So.
Good. So number 5, we're going to go to the Tribe of Extreme.
Okay.
And I really went back and forth.
Okay.
Between the man I chose,
right,
and the Dudley Boys.
Ooh.
Because the Dudleys were devastating heels but most of it was their mouth.
Yes. Yes.
Raven, however, crucified a man and turned that man's family against him.
Yes. Yes, he did. Yes, he
So
did.
the nod goes to Raven for me in that.
That's fair. That's, yeah, again, also not on my list. But there, when you were saying ECWs between the Dudleys and somebody else, I thought you were going to say somebody else. That would have matched the list for me, but you didn't get there.
But yeah, Raven.
Yeah,
I honest, aside from his win of the NWA title, I can't really think of many times when Raven was a face. You know,
Yeah.
maybe his surprise return when he won the tag titles for him and Tommy,
Well, but
but
even
then immediately turned back into the him Tommy storyline.
yeah,
So for that like 30 seconds where he came in even flowed, pinned, and got
yes,
the straps,
yes,
he was babyface. And then, like, by the time the pay-per-view came around, Raven was back to his old shenanigans with Tommy.
Even in the moment of the title win, Tommy looks up like he's the celebration because the match is over, and he looks up and you see this, you, not you,
He has
can't
the
be you.
WTF face.
Yeah, he's just like, not Raven, anybody but Ray. Like, why are you here? I got rid of you. No, and he just. So good. Tommy was so good in ECW. God, he's still good. But man, him and Scotty just anyway.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, Raven crucified the Sandman at the ECW arena.
Yeah.
Which made just one Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle, walk out and threaten legal action if they used his image on the same show that showed that.
Yeah, as he should.
And then the fact that Raven was able to brainwash Lori and Tyler,
and Tyler
to turn them against Sandman, Jim, and just that whole storyline.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen anything that devastating or gut-wrenching.
No.
Really since then.
No. And
that was raw, true emotion.
Yes.
And that was leap years ahead of time.
Yes. I always go back to that moment, Jay, when I think I haven't seen the whole match in a long time, so forgive me, but the clip is on Rise and Fall, which is where I've seen it more recently. I think Sandman had just won the championship, and Tyler comes out dressed like Sandman, the ridiculous pajama-looking pants, the white T-shirt and everything, and they hug, and out from behind comes Raven, whacks Sandman in the back of the head with that kendo stick, and Tyler does the Raven pose and bails, and it's like, oh, that's right. And that story was so prolific in wrestling that when, God forgive me for bringing up this year and this company, but 1999 WCW, when Raven was off getting, again, Lord, I apologize for that. We're going to crucify the storyline instead of crucifying the man here. So there we go. There was a point in early 99, I mean, like early, like when they were still not quite fully reformed the NWO after the Finger Poke of Doom time. This is early in the year. Raven was home on a sabbatical for his mental health, which, and Sandman Jim came over to visit Scotty at home. And at one point, Sandman Jim, cousin Jim, mentions to Scotty's mom about how Lori and Tyler are doing well, and Raven looks up from the poolside and just kind of shakes his head like, no, they're not. Like, thinking to myself, it's just that little bitty subtlety from Raven, just like, all right, Jim, okay. It was so, like 10 people may have got that. They were watching WCW 99, but I'm like, I understand that shit. I get it. Even in WCW, even when they're getting the roster from ECW is getting castrated of itself by having being rated, they're still throwing back. Yeah. Never more will they forget, ever, Raven. Absolutely not. Good stuff.
And I'm sorry, that man needs to go in the Hall of Fame next year.
If they're going to go with a ECW-centric Hall of Fame, or if they're not, because they're going to be in Philly either way, Raven has got to be up there along with probably somebody else we're going to mention later. But definitely Raven. Raven more than deserves it. He has for years.
So, okay.
Oh, that's a hell of a start to a next topic.
I don't want to call these cheats.
Oh, boy.
They're stables.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Stables. You know?
I got those. You're good. You're good.
For me, it was hard to single out like one person in the stable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, I went with 3 stables to get 4, 3, and 2 before I get to my number 1.
Okay.
But I just wanted to preface it because I didn't want anyone out there to think, oh, he's taking the cheap way out by just doing a stable.
No. Because I have I have at least one. Maybe
I would hope so. I mean, you're rocking the shirt of one.
Oh, aren't we going to be surprised at my list then? But yes,
at
least one stable in here.
Okay,
and I will leave that where it be.
Well, number 4 for me is the most, not counting my honorable mention, is the most recent stable to make my list.
Okay,
Evolution.
Nice. The irony of that picture will not be lost on people later.
And specifically, I want to focus on everybody except Batista because fuck him.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Batista was a decent heel in Evolution.
Yes.
He became a so-so babyface after Triple H turned on him.
Yes.
And a meh heel when he would turn after that.
Yeah.
Which is sad because everything about him screams monster heel.
Yeah, it does.
And unless he was in Evolution, he wasn't.
Yeah. To be fair, he turned on Triple H. Triple H was looking out for his own good.
True.
Trying to make sure that he was looking out for the betterment of the group. He was trying to make sure Batista had a world title and that he had a world title. It was much like Marty Jannetty throwing himself for that damn barbershop window door, that chicken shit coward.
Damn right.
Batista was selfish and chose to bite the hand that fed him. And the legendary Ric Flair on top of it. What a selfish bastard is Dave Batista. Shame on him.
Right?
He should be the top of this list for doing that shit. What a heel. God damn. No,
with Triple H, Randy Orton,
yes,
and Ric Flair. There's not a whole lot I can really say about Evolution. You just look at them and you're taken back to 03, 04, and you remember.
Oh, yes.
You remember.
Yes.
And it was to realize that their run was less than 2 years.
Yeah. Less than 2 full years.
And the mark they left on the business in those 2 years between Triple H and his reign of terror, between Randy Orton becoming the legend killer, and Nate just Nathan.
Woo! Nate regaining his Nathan as a result of being part of that group.
And then there was Batista, which fuck that guy.
Again, it's hard for me to fuck Batista right now because I just saw Guardians last night, so I'm like, yeah, Batista, right on, because that was good shit yesterday. Anyway, you'll be talking about that this weekend, so we'll let you get there. So Evolution isn't on my list. There will be a mention of Evolution later, but not on my list officially. But yes, they are so prolific in my mind even now, 20 years after their official formation. Let that shit sink into your curved spines and your graying hairs out there, kids. That the theme for No Way Out 03, which is where they really solidified themselves, Bring Me to Life by Evanescence, was such a popular song in my brain that when I spent the summer with my aunt and uncle and went to the local, I think it was Fred Meyer, I saw the CD and went, oh, there's my next purchase because I love that song so much because it was used primarily for the Scott Steiner Triple H match at No Way Out. So,
which the less we can relive that match, the better.
Hey, you know what though? Scott Steiner's been a part of some great moments in wrestling. That just wasn't one of them.
Most of them have to do with him trying to do math. Braun Breaker in 2003 could have had a better match with Triple H than Scott Steiner did. And I'm just going to leave that there.
I'll have to look up his birth date later. Because otherwise that'd be awkward and strangely illegal. Anyway,
Number 3.
Number 3. Is that a hint?
No.
Okay.
Number 3.
Okay. Yes, there they are. There they are, baby. And this is as it should be.
Well, I was trying to find a picture with 6'2".
Yes.
And
yes.
I couldn't find a good shot of these 5 and Waltman. So Waltman is a part of this as well, despite the fact that he is not pictured. Everything post Waltman, no. Bad. Because if you figure these 5 and then Waltman made 6, 1 + 2 + 3 is 6. Then you got to figure that Virgil/Vincent came after him, and that's just no. No Virgil. That's a bad Virgil.
Definite lucky 7 there.
So these 5 and Waltman, the new world order of professional wrestling.
Not even E?
Nope.
Not even. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I love E, but I feel like once E became a member is when it started to jump that shark.
Yeah, I was going to say Bagwell, but Bagwell became because of E, so that you know. So with all respect to both Marcus and Eric, because I love both those guys, but yeah.
But the New World Order, especially in that iteration, that era before it became watered down, oversaturated, everybody on the roster except for like 10 people were members of the NWO.
You know,
yeah, and 4 of those 10 were the Horsemen. Then there was like DDP, Sting,
Goldberg.
And I'm losing count.
Sting's part of the Wolfpack.
Not. I'm talking about this.
Okay, this
iteration.
NWO. Okay, so yeah, DDP.
Before
Goldberg
we had
wasn't there.
Splinter.
So yeah,
when
DDP,
they had to have the fake Sting,
who was technically the 6th member, believe it or not, but they never talk about that on anything.
So
Cobra Sting was part of the NWO before Sean technically was. He couldn't get his paperwork.
Think about it.
He just couldn't get his paperwork processed in his release. Oh my god! I love WCW. Even then, they were like just a cluster. Anyway,
but the NWO in that, like I said, that group,
yes,
really could have changed the world if it hadn't got watered down.
Yes. I will argue because they're also not officially on my list. I will argue that take the Giant out and have Sean in there, Waltman, and I agree with you. Only because the Giant almost right away became just the other big guy in the group besides Kevin. The initial turn, holy shit, what a moment. But from that point until after Starrcade, it was kind of like, yeah, he's here. He's Hogan's guy. Like, he was always with Hogan. But then when Bischoff turned, it was like he and Teddy both became useless when Eric was revealed. So okay. I would say you're 100% right on the time period of NWO being included on any top list. When Paul White is 7'4" and 500 pounds is the weakest part of your group, you're in good shape.
So that brings us to number 2. And number 2 was the original blueprint, if you will, for my number 4.
There you go. There you go.
Again, what can you say about the Four Horsemen that hasn't already been said? I mean, fuck. We did an entire show about the Horsemen.
We did.
So it's like, and again, when Oli is your weak link, not even JJ.
Yeah, no.
Oli.
Yeah. What's funny about that is going into that, Ole was the most hated of the bunch.
I know.
Everybody hated Ole Anderson, man. Yeah,
man.
Yeah. I mean, granted, Ole in real life, Alan, pretty universally reviled now, but and was at the time too. But yeah, that, and again, we talked about that group so much, we gave Paul Roma a getting over again. Like, damn us for that shit. But
Paul
it is
Roma
what it
still
is.
Is not in the worst version of the Horsemen.
No, God bless it, and unfortunately, we still feel bad for those that are, and and we'll do it about that another time. Anyway, Horsemen will come up later, so at least we got that one. So great picture, by the way.
Should I do my honorable mention now or after my number one?
I'm gonna do my honorable mentions to start, so take it however you want.
All right. I feel like I'm going to go ahead and throw my honorable mention in right now because it is a stable.
Okay, so you go with the stable thing.
It kind of rolls with the theme here, and it's the only stable that I have that is newer than Evolution.
Oh.
And all I got to say is I'm wearing the merch.
There you go. Oh, see. Talk about what could have been, man. As good as they were.
Yeah. As good as they still are.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
They just got seriously derailed with Mandy and her extracurricular activities. But Toxic Attraction, man, like they were my reasons to turn into not Noah's NXT, damn it, on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
More so than Cora, who I loved at the time. More so than Carmelo, who I have grown to enjoy more than Toxic Attraction now, but there also is no more Toxic Attraction, so
fair.
But yeah, Toxic Attraction was my reason to tune in every week because they were just so good.
Yes.
I say they haven't been the same.
No.
Since Mandy's departure, which is a shame.
It is, because both Gigi and JC are talented as hell, and they're just kind of there now. And,
I don't think they're good enough to be singles. That's the problem. Being in the tag team, they were able to accentuate each other's strengths and hide each other's weaknesses.
Right.
Once they did the breakup and they had to start feuding with each other, their weaknesses showed.
Yeah, and that is the upside and the downside of a faction, because a faction's supposed to not only hide the negatives, but further accentuate the positives and help them grow out of it. Mandy's unfortunate timing just was too soon on that front, and it kind of was what it was as a result. But I definitely agree. I figured you would honorably mention them at the very least because they were your original NXT, not Noah's NXT jam. So I'm here for that. Absolutely.
Which brings me to my number one. And this is the one I felt the strongest about that would be on your list.
Okay.
And I have a feeling that he might even be number one for you.
Okay.
Vince McMahon.
Okay.
And I picked this picture on purpose.
Well, yeah.
I mean, granted, the reveal we've discussed here recently didn't live up to expectations.
Nope.
But when you're willing to have The Undertaker kidnap and terrorize your daughter to get at your arch nemesis, that's a devilish son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And that's to save nothing of any of his other shenanigans.
Yeah.
But when you're willing to have Ministry of Darkness Undertaker kidnap and terrorize your baby girl just to get at your arch nemesis. That is one sick and sadistic son of a bitch.
So you were right about Vince in part of what you said regarding my list. And I will leave that where it be.
So there is my top 10, one honorable mention.
Love it.
Of the top heels of all time.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that there were so few matches because of the way you approached it. That was great. Great. We're going to have on the actual list, we have one full match, just not in the same spot, and one partial match, also not in the same spot.
All right.
For the record. Well, two partial matches, not in the same spot. I'll be clear on that later. But before we get to my list, as we try to do, because we're not doing the merch part of it, so clearly we're failing on that front. But we do the occasional watch along on these.
Occasional.
Well, it was supposed to be occasional.
We said we were going to cut back.
Yeah.
And how many have we done this year already? Just this year?
Yeah, quite a bit. And
we added one for this coming weekend.
We did.
Under the pretense because we thought we were going to be able to attend it.
Yes, we're going to get the synergies.
Damn Mouse Mafia for messing up the Hakuna Matata.
Hey, they're paying me. They're paying me very well.
But in the not quite 5 full months that have been this year, I think we've done close to 20 watch-alongs.
And we're not
That's
done
an
yet.
average of 4 a month.
Yeah.
Think about that.
They'll
you check out what is coming up for us on the Multiverse of Media. Clear.
Yeah, right? Yeah, seriously.
Got to do something to keep me alive for all those watch-alongs, and I'm not even calling them all. God damn, how is Noah going to do it?
Because he is the simple man with a spectacular voice, and damn it, he's a saint because he's doing it.
He's just a simple man working hard for his fans.
Oh, okay. Working hard for the man, because you always call me the man, myth, the legend. But working hard for the fans is a much better, less egocentric approach. So we'll go with that.
Exactly.
You know,
I know these things.
I know you know. I know you know. Well, you know. Laura, sorry, Bruce. Anyway, and to the Jarretts in general. Just sorry on all fronts there. All right. So, like I said, we have one full match, not in the same spot, and two partial matches, also not in the same spot. And I'm going to come right out the gate and surprise the hell out of everybody right here, right now, with my two honorable mentions.
Okay.
Number two honorable mention. I'll say that because we're going in reverse order.
Wow.
Not even in my top 10, and I say that because I feel strong about my top 10. And I put Hogan and Eric together on purpose.
Well, I mean, they did almost kill TNA, so
that alone, just all the heels. But Hollywood Hogan or TNA Hulk Hogan was only truly his most evil, egocentric, egomaniacal self with that big butt kisser next to him every step of the way, Eric Bischoff. Because think about it. Hollywood Hogan, after Bischoff was sent home from the company, actually, even before that, when he first came back in July of 99, was getting cheered. He was even getting cheered in a cage against Ric Flair when he and the Wolfpack had turned Flair's own son against him. And then in TNA, oh yeah, Hogan's here, and then Immortal, and Hogan's here. And then when Bischoff, after Bound for Glory 2011, they were still cheering for Hogan. So
in TNA, Hogan's here, yay! And here comes Beefcake and the Nasty Boys, and Hogan's here.
Luckily,
so all his friends get jobs now.
At least Brutus didn't show up in TNA. WCW, yeah, they did that. Fucking Ed Leslie. Other honorable mention. I knew he wouldn't be on your list, and I was gonna have him in my top 10, but I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and just honorable mention it because, again, I feel stronger about the other 10. Ravishing Rick Rude. Man, Rick, again, was much more a prolific star that before I started officially watching the WWF. By the time I started watching WWF, he was already on the outs with Vince and heading to the Indies and then WCW a year later. So I didn't get to see true prime Ravishing Rick Rude. But I'll tell you what, when I was starting to tiptoe my way into WCW viewing in 1991 and the Dangerous Alliance was a thing, right at the front with Paulie nipping at his shoulder, because that's what Paulie does, was Ravishing Rick Rude. And,
all I got to say about Rude is you can't get much more heel than airbrushing your opponent's wife on your junk.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Rude was the worst of the worst. He was just...
Rude was no fucks given before no fucks given was a thing.
Yes. Well, no fucks except the ladies in the audience he would talk to and maybe, after. But what we didn't know, as far as, if you weren't paying real attention, is he always had his wedding ring on with a little bit of tape over, because Rude, the man, was solid. So, but dastardly heels in wrestling in the 80s, yeah, when you have Percy Pringle and Bobby Heenan both agreeing with and Paulie, how truly dastardly you were, I think you're in good company. I think you're in good shit. All right. Again, my list is only a cop-out because, man, how do you actually do 1 through 10 on these 10 entries I'm doing? Because they're all so solid in their own way, and the descriptions I have for them are just like, how is that number one? How is that not number one? Et cetera, et cetera. But for me, when you talk about heels in wrestling and going back to our original modern era discussion, I can't think of a better heel in even modern era, which would only be going back 10 years, WWE, than the Viper, Randy Orton. Randy, again, you mentioned Randy during your Evolution discussion, so I will be brief in that. As cocky, as arrogant, as diabolical as Triple H and Ric Flair warped his brain into in 2003 and early 2004, getting dropped on his back and his head by Batista at the behest of Triple H flipped a switch inside Randy Orton. And granted, a little run with Riddle here recently, and we don't know if he's coming back even now. If you read reports, he's not. Other than that, it's very hard to find a moment since 2005 when he became a heel again and dropped Stacy Keibler with an RKO. Very hard to find a moment between now and then where Randy's been a solid, legitimate, other than teaming with Riddle, babyface. He is just that sick. Randy Orton has become, for me, a better all-around heel than a guy that you're going to be surprised is also on my list, the Rated R Hall of Famer, Edge. Randy out-heeled the Rated R superstar when Edge came back to the company. Dropped him like he owed him money. Dropped his wife. Like, I was on the fence between the two of them. I'm not going to lie. But Edge never dropped Randy's wife. He dropped Cena's dad and a bunch of other people, and that's why Edge will always get a mention for me because Edge is awesome. I realize the irony of the awesome statement. There you go.
You want to talk about dropping wives? Let us not forget what he did to Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah, Randy Orton clearly, distinctly, purposely targeted the McMahon family to get to the WWE champion, Triple H. Then on top of that, blamed it on a non-existent mental disorder. That's just cold and disturbing. Targeting The Undertaker on purpose would define most people as crazy. He did it, and the entire year of 2005 is what it took for Undertaker to finally put the Viper down once and for all. From early March, maybe even late February, until Armageddon in December, Randy Orton kept the Undertaker in a battle of mind games. Randy Orton is definitely in a discussion for any top heels of any era. As is the next gentleman. When you were talking about doing things in WCW and WWE and now in AEW, I was sure you were going to talk about this guy. And I was wrong. And I was trying to think of a picture to use for this next gentleman. And I thought there was no better heel version of this person than in 2008. Chris Jericho made a very gutsy decision in 2008. He could have very easily coasted on that Y2J shtick, came back to the company, got a huge pop, feuded with Randy Orton over the championship, became the Intercontinental Champion for the 468,000th time, roughly. I'm guessing on that number.
Stat boy, do your homework.
Appreciate you, Mike. And instead took a little bitty blip on a radar that was the Raw After Mania 2008, when Batista just glared at Shawn Michaels across the ring during Nature's Goodbye. And Jericho entered a feud with Shawn Michaels after refereeing a match between Michaels and Batista, and Michaels feigning a knee injury in the match to get the upper hand, hit the chin music, 1, 2, 3. Just that little bitty thread of Dave giving Shawn the look across the ring sent Chris Jericho into a Bockwinkel-esque tailspin of heel turn. And from that moment on, really, if you think about it, the happy-go-lucky Y2J babyface has never fully returned, ever. And Jericho, for my money, even right now, Jericho and his plotting, his machinations are a reason why there's a very controversial t-shirt on the AEW website right now. Right, Britt? So, Jericho, even now, 15 years, golly, there goes my spine again, after that turn against Shawn Michaels, is still causing waves because of his dastardly heeldom. Mm-hmm. And even before that, when he was in WCW, man, I was watching, I forget which one of the podcasts, I'm pretty sure it was Eric's, Bischoff's, talking about Slamboree 98. And how Jericho was just running Malenko down when he went into retirement after losing to Jericho. And that moment at Slamboree when Malenko unmasked the sequel play, spoiler if you haven't seen Slamboree 98. Sorry, guys. It's 25 years. Get over it. Jericho was just the best chicken shit heel. He could have even done that. And he didn't. He became the plotting, the Bockwinkel-esque, the maneuvering heel, which is so tricky a road to navigate. And he does it with such passion and greatness.
Although I would argue you that he does go back to full-blown Y2J babyface. At least 1 weekend a year on the cruise, baby.
This is fair. Although, you know what, though? Depending on where they're at in storylines, he'll sit there and heal up the whole weekend. He don't give a shit. You know, when we pulled out late at the cruise, when he I'm like, okay, I'm the captain now. It's like, oh, shit, here we go. It's a long start to the weekend. When the Disney cruise leaves before you, you know you're in trouble because Disney did shit on time. Oh, boy. I know I'm fired. It's okay. Anyway, fuck it, whatever. The next guy is one of those heels that even then, even in his worst of worst, you just like, damn it, I can't help but laugh at you and love you because you're such a bad guy, but you're just fun to watch. The Brain. I love the Brain. I'm biased. I understand that. I love me some Bobby. I do. And I can't help myself, but Bobby makes my list for one very specific opponent that he always had throughout his run. The Hulkster. He was always against Hogan, whether it was Bockwinkel, whether it was Big John Studd, whether it was turning Andre the Giant to a definitive heel, which had never been done, which was crazy in 1986 and 87 to even think about, to leading Ravishing Rick Rude to Bobby's first WWF managed champion, to bringing Ric Flair into the company, to leaving WWE and becoming just an announcer, but still, railing against Hogan, to coming out of retirement and being named the coach for Ric Flair and Arn Anderson that helped unify the Four Horsemen once again, right, Mongo? Bobby just had a way, and it was probably that weasel in him because he was a sneaky chicken shit piece of garbage, that just he found a way to have anybody that was in front of him, because Lord knows he wouldn't be leading the way because he's not getting his butt whooped first. He found a way to either take somebody that had no business being over and make sure they were over, or somebody that was already over like Rover, like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard when they came into the WWF, and just put that little decoration on the plate even further. You know, Arn Anderson said it best. I forget what DVD or what documentary it was, but all it takes Bobby Heenan is the crowd chanting, that turn, that look, that sneer. He's got him. He did that at ringside. He did it as a commentary. He did it anywhere he went. Bobby was... Paul Heyman called Bobby Heenan the Johnny Carson of sports entertainment at WrestleMania 17. I refuse to argue with that statement to this day. Bobby Heenan was the greatest all-around entertainer the business ever had. I even say that now because Bobby knew how to do everything. He knew how to wrestle like a manager, manage like a wrestler, and commentate in a way that worked with anybody he was with. Even Shivani, who he didn't like at the time. Even, he made everything he did work, and not only work, but shine. Great character, and definitely one I miss tremendously as a person, because I think everybody on this list so far, except Rude, I've got to meet at some point. Yeah. So, just good stuff. Miss Bobby terribly. All right. Next up is the one I thought you were going to say when you said Raven. Shane Douglas. You talk about a vile bastard. Okay. Shane Douglas in ECW not only took the most prolific championship in wrestling and made it worth less than the 10 pounds it weighed, he crippled a Pitbull. And then when the Pitbull came in the ring to confront him, he grabbed him by his halo and threw him down in cold blood. He just Shane Douglas, the franchise of ECW, was what every single company man in wrestling wished they could have been. He would get on the mic. First thing out of his mouth, cut the fucking music! Because he could, because he was Shane Douglas. And he would just rattle off these vile, I use the word vile, these awful things, and just language that would make Bubba Ray Dudley go, ooh, goodness gracious. And then the worst part is he would back it up as one of the best wrestlers in the world, because the guy could wrestle anybody and make them and himself in the process look good. You know, Shane was the franchise of ECW because he was the only one that could be. Yes, over Rob Van Dam, because Rob Van Dam wasn't that guy when Shane was the ECW champion. Shane being Shane helped Taz become Taz, which is what got ECW into that next phase that had the TV thing not been what it had been, they could have survived longer. You know, but Shane Douglas being Shane Douglas led to Raven getting his turn, led to Sandman. Like, Shane Douglas had his hands in every single world title cookie jar in the history of that company after 1994. One way or the other. Shane Douglas was, if Tommy Dreamer was the heart and soul of ECW, if Rob Van Dam was the most popular star they ever had, if the Dudleys were the most vile heels they ever had, Shane Douglas was the straw that stirred the drink of ECW as their heel world champion, as their heel primary personality. And Shane just, the only reason Shane's not completely universally reviled is he actually was a bigger and better star than his Dynamic Dudes partner, and we're grateful to Shane for that. So thank you, Shane, for not being John Laurinaitis. We love you for that. All the time. And why is that, Jay? Because fuck John Laurinaitis. That's why. No, he's not on my list either, because he's not a heel in wrestling. He's just a piece of shit person. Anyway.
Johnny Ass Larry Gitis.
Johnny Ass Larry Gitis. Forever. Fuck that guy. Yeah, for life. Exactly. All right. The one I was surprised on your list, but you had valid reasons for it, so I will expand on him, and you can feel free to jump in because he is your guy at the end of the day. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper is why we have WrestleMania. That's the sentence. That's the tweet.
Roddy Piper is why Hulk Hogan got to be Hulk Hogan.
At least in the WWF when he came back. Absolutely. Because Piper came at the same time. And it's always good when two partners come at the same time. That is a good relationship to have, damn it. So, you know what? It's Friday night. I don't give a shit anymore. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm already starting. Whatever. Shit. But for real, though, they both arrive in the company at the same time. Hogan coming back, Roddy joining the company from Crockett, and off they went together down that path of bringing people into the Garden. Yes, Hulk Hogan had the personality, he had the fans, he had Mr. T supporting him, but Roddy made one of the best points, even in a babyface moment, in the history of wrestling. Do you think they would have loved you so much if they hadn't hated me so much?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people wanted Roddy Piper to literally die. Trust me, he got stabbed multiple times. Here in LA, even. Roddy Piper purposely went out and made fun of the Mexican people that live in this part of the country for weeks and weeks, apologized, said he was going to play the I blew the joke. Said he was going to play the Mexican national anthem on his bagpipes to make up for it. Plays La Cucaracha in the middle of the Olympic Auditorium in LA. You're asking to die. He was such a bad guy. They were going to a territory they were not going to go back from, and he's still riling them up with the American flag. We're not going to, God, drop money. We're not coming back here next week, Roddy. Like, stop. Gonna get killed and shit. damn it. And then it kept on going. He would pick fights with Mr. T, which he would go to the center of the A-team and pick, like, why? Because you got to draw money. And he sold the garden out. He's had to be facing Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. And had Orndorff as his partner. He boxed with Mr. T in the middle of the Nassau County Coliseum. And then went up to the freaking announce booth and was, doing a freaking Brad Major showing his man titty to Susan St. James just because he could.
I mean,
like, damn, Roddy, you evil. But then he goes away and people just can't help but cheer him on his way out. But I will say, for the record, the biggest reason I think Roddy deserves to be on a list of heels all time is because that match, WrestleMania 3 with Adrian Adonis, is the reason we have Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake as a thing. So without Roddy Piper being Adrian Adonis, we don't have Brutus Beefcake as the Barber. So that's why I hate him so much.
That's fair. That's fair. But I mean, like,
I'm kidding, of course, but
like I said, once you got past those first couple of years of him in the company,
yep,
people realized that he was the heel that you loved to hate.
exactly.
And he became a baby face more than a heel.
Yes.
And with the exception of his return during the whole Mr. America thing, to be heel with Hogan again.
Yeah, you know.
Like I said, like 90% of the stuff I've seen of him, he was a good guy. Even when he came to WCW to feud with Hollywood Hogan, he was the babyface this time around.
Yes.
And he still freaking got beat by Hogan.
Yeah, Hey, he beat Hogan clean twice.
At that point, you're not going to beat the NWO, so.
No, you're not.
I mean, I love Roddy. My love for Roddy is well documented.
Absolutely.
And I totally blame my ex for my love of Roddy.
Yes.
Because I liked him beforehand, but I was not as invested in him before her.
Yeah, definitely not. But
I mean, it was hard for me to leave Roddy off this list.
Absolutely.
It really was.
Oh, I believe it. I 100% believe it.
Like I said, I couldn't seriously sit here and wax proxy on a guy that, for my money, was heel for about 3 years in footage that I've actually seen of him.
Right.
And he had a 30+ year career.
Yeah.
And 3 years of the footage that I've seen, he was a good guy, or he was a bad guy, excuse me.
Yes. Like I said, my dad and the people that went to the shows out here in LA and, up in the Pacific Northwest, and the people that saw the old Crockett shows before he came to WWE even, will tell you that Roddy was an effective heel. But
I don't dispute that.
You just didn't have the opportunity.
All you got to do is listen to the stories that Flair told about him in his Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah.
And then Piper coming to the stage, well, I was happily married for 20-something years. But I mean, the real question of questions, Jeff, before you move on to your next entry, which was the more heelish thing that Piper did?
Okay.
Being responsible for Brutus Beefcake or making Hell Comes to Frogtown?
Barber Beefcake. Damn. That was just wrong. Brutus
was Hell Comes to Frogtown. And if you know, you know.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know, I think it's on Tubi for free.
It's on Tubi for free, and there's a review from this guy, so there is that. All right, this next one is the one that we share fully. It's on both lists, and it's also the same picture. These guys, and yes, I had the picture before you put it up. I didn't save it after the fact because I when you put it up, I'm like, that's awesome. He used the exact same picture.
You jacked me. It's all good.
I did not jack you. For the record, the only reason I'll be honest with you right now. God damn it! As we tape this at whatever the hell time it is right now, I know that I can't get the clock to work because this new phone's still being spastic. 11:17 on a Tuesday that we tape it for a Friday show Pacific time. I only added Shane Douglas's picture too after the fact because I forgot to add him. But we were like, oh shit, I had Shane on my list. I just didn't add him to the list. So anyway, the Horsemen. I mean, the Horsemen were so. The problem, I think, with the Horsemen was they were so evil, and their initial outings of evil things, breaking Dusty's leg, breaking Dusty's arm, breaking Dusty Rhodes. Let's just, probably would have done the same thing to Magnum had the car accident not done it to Magnum his damn self. Poor Magnum. God, talk about one of those guys that could have been, man. I don't know if we did a top 10 should have been world champions in this era of dads, but damn it, we need to. Because Magnum.
There's a whole video on wrestling's biggest what ifs on YouTube all about Magnum, like almost an hour long. Same people did one on Sean O'Hare, which I watched. That was a good one too.
Sean O'Hare's definitely, again, we're going to get off in the weeds here for just a second, but man, you and I both met Sean. Love Sean. Horrible ending. Just seemed to be such a good, genuine soul, and just came along at a point that unfortunately his starts were in WCW 2000, and it just kind of went from there for poor Sean. Because, when you come into the business in that company in 2000, you either survive because you don't thrive and get out of there and come to WWE and maybe do something, or you just end up, being another wrestling what if. Magnum was one of those too. So
they compared Sean O'Hare coming into WCW 2000 to jumping into the water as it's circling the drain.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was a hell of an analogy when they illustrated it.
That entire group, the Natural Born Thrillers, were so good. It had such raw talent. But yeah, they jumped into a pool as the water was doing the freaking circle jerk. It was like they were doomed for disaster from the start, unfortunately, for those kids. Even Kevin Nash couldn't save those guys. So, and he tried. He actually did try with those guys. Sorry, Kev. Love you, but yes. But yeah, the Horsemen were, and they were the original gang. Like you said, man, they were the blueprint for the NWO, for DX, for the Bullet Club, for anybody that came after them. And they just couldn't help but be bad. But at the same time, the world was changing in the 80s. Fans in the crowd were in those 3-piece suits, throwing sunglasses, doing the four fingers in the air, listening to Flair's instructions to go to the Marriott. Anybody 18 to 28, no boyfriends, no husbands. Woo! Because that's how they got down. And you know what? They partied. And I'll tell you what, Dusty Rhodes said it best on the Horseman DVD. He's at Studio 54 with Cher and John Belushi, Jim Belushi at the time.
No, John.
Oh, it was John. I'm sorry. Jim had already passed, I think. No. John's the one that did pass. I'm sorry. My bad. I do that with the Jim.
He was basically in the corner with a bunch of the not ready for prime
time player, and
here comes the
holding court. Yeah, and the Horsemen walk in. And they all went to the door, and Dusty Rhodes like, "What am I doing wrong?" But by the same token, the Horsemen get into a cab in New York. Dusty gets into Cher's limousine, and so it's back and forth between those two. The Horsemen were so vile and so disgustingly heels that Lex Luger joining them, as bad in ring as Lex was, when he got expunged from that group, made him a babyface by default. Just was what it was. Even Sting, being Sting, couldn't turn those guys babyface when he joined the group. They were only baby faces in 1996 and 7 by sheer damn default, thanks to this guy in the NWO. I mean, that's just how that was. And even then, when they reformed in 98, when Flair came back, they still became heels in 99.
But by that point, at least, heel or no, they had enough respect on their name,
right,
that they weren't getting flat out booed.
No. Flair was because he lost his damn mind. But, anyway.
Well, I mean, when you're cutting promos like "Fire me, I'm already fired," and freaking elbow dropping your suit jacket,
When
got
you
a
are
little bit nuts.
when you are screaming in Sting's face as the president of WCW, the president of the United States, and you catch yourself and you still keep going, a few fry short of a combo there, Nate. Woo! I'll have number 2. And he number 2 the bet on that one. Anyway, right, Amber? Speaking of heels, next on my list, just all the weeds at this point. Don't give a shit. There was a serious discussion for me to make this entry the top entry. And I didn't because of where I'm going to go after this. But this next person, I say person because it is a one-person entry. I think he flirted with babyfacedom for a few appearances at most in WWE. But whether it was the head of a faction with a giant Zach Morris cell phone in his hand, whether it was leading the charge of the Extreme into a storyline that was already going sideways with an invasion, whether it was introducing the next big thing to our consciousness and scarring to Meacham for life a few years later because of it, or the most important thing for now, whether it was taking somebody that the WWE was trying to shove down our throats like it was cod liver oil and us retching it every time, but then that camera panning over and revealing Paul Heyman sitting next to Roman Reigns. For my money, Paul Heyman is the greatest manager, advocate, special counsel, whatever you want to call him. And he has proven it time and time again. He brings a solid NCAA championship athlete into a company. But because he's with Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar's the heel. Paul Heyman turns on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's a babyface just because of Paul Heyman going against him. And anybody that's against Paul Heyman has to be a babyface, right? Reinvigorated the Big Show's career in 2002 when Big Show was flatlining at best. Then managed Kurt Angle back to the championship glories. Then became the GM of SmackDown and was just disgusting there. But even before that, WCW Dangerous Alliance. That stable only failed because he had to sue the company. Otherwise, they could have kept on going, even in WCW as bad as it was in 92. But then WWE in his run there, the only time we had babyface Paul was in 2006, and he still turned anyway. And only left because creative was what it was. Right, Phil? Right, Paul? Right, Vince? By the way, I gave serious, and I mean my brain had space rented for hours on putting CM Punk on this list. And I almost did it. And definitely an honorable mention for Punk.
See, and maybe it's just me and the way I look back on things. I would argue that Heyman was a babyface in what was supposed to be the heel alliance. Because he brought in that ECW element that people weren't ready to let go of yet.
True.
The company had only died 5 months earlier.
Yeah, roughly.
And here's Tommy Dreamer, RVD, the Dudley Boys, Raven, Taz, Spike Dudley,
Justin.
they were
all there. Yeah.
Rhino.
Yep.
All back with Paul Heyman.
Yeah. But
the alliance, see, this is another problem with that whole alliance invasion.
Mm-hmm.
And again, looking back on it.
Yeah.
The Alliance, with a few exceptions, I feel were the baby faces in that thing, because WWF had started to get stale by having decimated its competition.
Right.
Plus the failed Stone Cold heel turn.
Yes.
So you've got Stephanie and Shane and Paul and all these other new talents that are coming in the company, and some that were already there that turned.
Yes.
And it's just like, dude, this is what we need. This is that breath of fresh air.
Right.
So I would argue you that Heyman was not heel during that angle, even though he was supposed to be. And then especially when he grabbed the stick at that Go Home to Survivor series.
Well,
that one shot on Vince.
Yeah. I only say he's a heel anyway because how much did the crowd pop when Taz choked his ass out? And like I said, okay, for you and I, total babyface. Because I believe I went into that weekend hoping the Alliance would win. My dumb ass, oh yeah, they got this. Like, Jeff, the WWF owns everything. Like, don't be stupid. But I was to the bitter end. I had on my I had on that god-awful, well, not as bad as the, exploding vagina logo, but that god-awful WCW logo t-shirt, that red one they debuted in WWE. I wore that shirt on the 18th of November because, god damn it, I believed. But I'm a realist also. And it's like, yeah, Paul Heyman, if Paul Heyman had stuck to leading ECW, if Paul Heyman had stuck to that part of the story, I agree with it. Even Paul Heyman turning his children against Vince, I believe that. And he should have, because his children deserve better than having Vince for a father, especially during 2001. Right, Trish?
Going back to Vince being my number one, Stephanie specifically, after having Vince hire the Undertaker to kidnap and torment her to get at his arch nemesis. Like, he was owed a couple of receipts there.
Yeah. So 2001, the two, and Stephanie turning 2001 is like, okay, well, Hunter's not here, so let's just do something with her. At the end of the day, but yeah, Paul. I think Paul leaning more toward a heel in 2001 is because he was so far up heel Stone Cold Steve Austin's backside as part of the Alliance. That's what does it for me. Granted, like I said, I was supporting the Alliance. If I didn't have the WCW shirt on, not the exploding vagina one, but the other one, I had my Austin 316 with the color logo that year because, damn it, I was a Stone Cold guy. But
how many more times are we going to say exploding vagina logo?
At least one more, I think. We'll see. Maybe two. For me, Paul's biggest reason for being on this list is because his being put by fill in the blank here instantly gave them heel status and credibility. No bigger example of that right now than our tribal chief. Roman Reigns could have very easily been a heel and been dominant and been the same exact guy he is now. But Paul being the mouthpiece just accentuates and highlights everything. So that's why Paul is so high up on the list.
Okay.
And he's only not number one because of the people I have in the number 2 and number 1 slots. Okay. And again, this was another battle in my brain because of reasons. So number 2 for me is technically a 3-way tie. It's a cop-out. I don't give a shit. But not really. Because it's still Vince. It's just, and this is the most babyface picture I can find of 3 of them, ironically enough, because they're all cute and happy and everything's good. And it's a WrestleMania only a few years ago, but the McMahon family as the authority figure You talk about Shane Douglas being the straw that stirred the drink. Freaking Vince McMahon's the one with the freaking ladle of the chili pot. And his kids are just enjoying the benefits of the bomb-ass chili that's being made, as the other authority figures as well. I almost had a picture with Linda during that 2005, 2006 era, but I'm like, I never really got behind that part of Linda. It's like, no, you're the good one. Stop that. Then, she joined Trump's cabinet, so I probably should have. But anyway, that was a political joke. My bad. Anyway. I also went with the whole of them in the cabinet in the office with Trump. I'm like, I have to make him number one if I do that, because that's just a heel picture right there. Even the kids are heels in that picture. Anyway, I digress. I'll be getting it, I promise. Maybe, except for saying it's floating vagina at least 2 more times. The McMahons took the. People say they took the blueprint that Bischoff laid as the evil, company head or whatever. People forget that Vince was going into Memphis in 1993 against Jerry Lawler, and little glimmers of that Mr. McMahon character were coming out even then. So I don't think it's so much stealing the formula that Bischoff laid down. It's just applying it on a national basis and a global basis. But man, when you grew up like I did as a fan of the WWF in the late 80s, early 90s, and see Vince McMahon, the announcer, and just that's not what he's going to be remembered most for now at all. That guy is a distant memory at this point. And then Shane, who, we see him pop up over the years as a referee, as an agent, as a producer or whatever. But the Shane McMahon character is so over with the fans as a babyface or a heel, but we're talking about heel in this case, that, there was serious argument by a lot of us that Shane could have effectively been the WWF champion because of just how, I'll say more WWE champion during that time, because WWF at that point, Shane was still, but again, he was hardcore champion. He was European champion. Shane McMahon in WWE years has been tag team champion. There's a serious consideration for me that Shane, even for a moment, like a 24-hour thing, like Vince was over a weekend, but even for that shorter period of time, could have been the world champion. People would have been like, yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
I maybe could have bought him as WWE CW champion.
Okay.
Considering how extreme his matches are known for being.
Okay.
But WWF, WWE, Blue Universal, Big Gold, no.
Okay.
Shane McMahon, Intercontinental US champion? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Because he was a workhorse.
As far as a world champion, WWE CW is at best.
And considering he
get rid of Durag McMahon and have that reign go to Shane,
I'm here for it.
And I don't think it's met with near as much criticism as Durag McMahon was. And I almost used that image instead of my higher power image. Because there was no more over heel than Durag McMahon, damn it.
No. Vince, as the ECW champion, was so universally hated that we purposely left him and Russo off our top 10 world champions list and went, okay, by the way.
Okay, what was more universally hated? The exploding vagina logo or Durag McMahon?
Depends who you ask.
Had to find another way to shoehorn it in there.
So now we're shoehorning things into vaginas. Got it. Okay, just want to make sure I'm clear on that. Okay, very good. But thank you.
Exploding vaginas.
That logo was okay. People are gonna be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" We gotta put that in post. People are gonna have no reference to what we're talking about.
Send me the image
I
for that one so I can do it in post.
I will.
So I want to make sure I get the right one.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's if you listen to. I think it's Eric's podcast. The WCW logo in 1999, 2001. That god awful. It literally looks like an opening. That it does. It looks like an exploding vagina, and it's horrible. It's an awful logo, and that's what Turner went with when they redesigned the logo. It's like,
And shoehorning things into that is what makes it explode. But we digress. Can we get back to your pick?
I think so. Oh, the McMahons again. Shit, I'm gonna have to giggles for a few minutes now. This is what it is. Shit, we're just gonna keep going, kids. It's Friday. It's
we
Friday.
Just went from an exploding vagina back to Stephanie McMahon and her father and brother. So
that's fair. That's a good point. Oh, but even being sacrificed to the Undertaker, as evil and diabolical as that was, we don't get the Stephanie McMahon we all know and hate now. As character. Love Stephanie. But the character, man, the character was such a bitch. But then she would give that over-the-shoulder little sly smile, and you're like, puddle. Can't help it. Like, you pretty. Like, you get the stupid, like, little boy giggles. Because she's just hot. She's even hotter now. Well, maybe not right now, but when she was the Authority Stephanie, she aged like fine wine. She always had that presence about her. And once she flipped that switch in her brain, like Jericho did in 2008, there was no stopping Stephanie, period, as a on-screen presence. And a major reason for that, flipping the switch and becoming an on-screen presence, was because of her on-screen relationship that developed into a off-screen company dominance, if we're being honest with ourselves. Triple H, for me, is the best heel ever. Even over Hollywood Hogan, even over the Horsemen, even over the McMahons themselves. Mainly because of this era of Triple H right here.
I'm going to dispute that with you, but I want to hear your reasons first.
Okay. Triple H could have very easily, as a character, been just fine. Being the leader of DX, had a good, comfortable situation for himself. But he was egotistical, and he was greedy, and he wanted more. He wanted the world title. And he did what he had to do. He crippled people. He took people out of the company. He sent Mick Foley's knee into in pieces in the emergency room to get his way. When he didn't get his way at SummerSlam, he did the same thing to Stone Cold Steve Austin's knee, then got the title from Mick Foley the next night. Then, to protect his world title reign, had Steve Austin run down like a dog in the street backstage in Detroit, which cars in Detroit are dangerous enough as it is. Let alone
The Rock.
Exactly.
You did it for the people.
No, you did it for the money, you fat Samoan bastard, you. And then the 2000 Triple H, he said in his promo when he was revealed as the guy, I was the damn WWF in Austin's absence. Argue it. Argue that point. Can't. Him and The Rock, but yes, as the heel, Triple H. Turned Vince McMahon back heel because of how evil he was. Fired a referee, beat him up, negated Chris Jericho's original WWF Championship reign. Legitimately concussed Olympic gold medalist, and became a pseudo babyface because the said gold medalist was macking on his wife, and then still turned back to being a heel, and then was so evil that when he was paired with Austin, that's what really started making people going, okay, shit, yeah, Steve's a bad guy now. This is legit. Only became a babyface when he came back in 2002 because he'd been gone and absent McSarko Fonda, whatever. Dropped his best friend on his head with a DX tease, and when that wasn't good enough for his evil ass, threw Shawn Michaels through a freaking car window. Then when Shawn defeats him, he hits him in the back with a sledgehammer, tries to cripple him again. If we talk about the evil things Triple H did between 2000 and 2006, we're going to be here for another hour. And then when you think that, okay, we got Triple H babyface back because, DX is back and you can't boo the guy and he's defending his wife against Randy Orton and defending his in-laws against Randy Orton. Then he drops poor little Daniel Bryan on his head in the middle of the Staples Center and just goes on another run. Triple H, like I said, he could have been a very comfortable babyface leader of DX, could have been a comfortable babyface authority figure as COO of the company. But
which is what it seems like he's doing now.
Well, for the moment, only because he can't wrestle no more. If he could still wrestle, I bet you it'd be a different story. Just saying. Just knowing Hunter enough. Making a supposition there, but whatever. Triple H, in my fandom of wrestling, going almost 33 years now, is the best of the best. At least my favorite.
Okay.
And that's a lot for me to admit in front of public and God and everybody, because I'm wearing a Hollywood Hogan shirt and I'm saying what I said.
And you're also the guy who ran down Triple H multiple times over your history. So
especially the first 3-4 years of my career. Absolutely. But you know what? The benefit of hindsight is a beautiful thing, Mr. Williams.
No, I hear you.
And the reign of terror may have been a reign of terror, but what did Paul Lee say in 2005?
JBL didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Want to work Tuesdays. No, Hunter didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Hunter didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Which is why JBL became WWE champion. Hunter was the most effective bad guy in the company at the time, but he couldn't be on both shows because that was what the brand extension was supposed to be. Hunter was such an effective bad guy that they had to come up with somebody as equally dastardly. They threw with JBL, and to be fair, John stepped up and freaking ran with that shit for 10 months, so good on him for it. But
I would have liked to have seen a War Games match between Evolution and the Cabinet.
When they had that moment at WrestleMania, I'm like, are we going to get this shit? And then they both lost the world title. It's like, well, that just pissing my Kool-Aid. Thanks a lot, guys.
So here's my argument to you.
Okay.
While you make a ton of valid points, and I could very easily sit here and be like, I concede your points.
Okay.
90% of everything you said as to why Triple H is the greatest heel of all time, Ric Flair did first.
Okay.
Triple H always wanted to be Ric Flair.
Very true. And I argue that by the same reason you didn't say Roddy. Because most of my stuff as a fan, either first run or watching a Memorex came after Flair was that guy. Which is why the Horsemen were in there. And I also, I neglected to mention this during my Horseman dissertation. Flair has always been back and forth for me because whether it was a heel or babyface, I loved him. And even watching on tape, I still love that character presentation. Whenever Flair was with the Horsemen is when he truly went down into the depths of hell in his heart and in his evil ass brain, was when he was with the Horsemen. That's why the Horsemen are the heels on the list, not just Nate.
Fair.
But like you didn't get to see Roddy a whole lot in his prime, even via Memorex. These 10 entries were much more more prolific in my fandom than Ric Flair, the true world champion heel. Because as has been pointed out many times over the years, the first 5 years of Ric Flair being, we'll say 4, 80, 81, 82, 83, and most of 84, he didn't have the Andersons. He definitely didn't have Tully. He was feuding with Tully quite a bit, matter of fact. Didn't have those guys with him. And a good chunk of that, he was either a solid babyface or riding that line. Horseman and leading that group and having that group bail him out time after time after time was what made him a heel. Think about it this way. He was a Horseman going into the feud with Steamboat. He came out of the top babyface in the company. Over Steamboat! who was a baby face because he could do no other.
Okay.
So that's why I made the argument for Hunter. And he was a copycat of Flair. Okay, yeah, but. And I realize as I say that I did not get to 10 because I moved number 1 down by mistake. And I totally did that whole spiel and made all that big stink for nothing. Because there's something I didn't mention, that Triple H is the best heel of my 30 years of fandom. He's only that because it's been across a good chunk of it. My favorite heel of all time, and definitely belongs in the discussion, and I'm sorry for moving you down with the stupid picture movement, Teddy, because I was trying to move graphics for the plug part of the show. Ever the show that I am, dumbass. Ted DiBiase. There is nobody in this world more hated, more reviled, more looked at with disgust than a guy that has money and knows it. I want this pool to myself. Here. Get these kids out of the pool. Oh, you want to earn some money? Dribble the basketball, 25. Oh, you fucked up. Just kidding. I'm going to buy the title. And he did it.
And then he ran with the tax man.
And he ran with it. Yeah, seriously. Ran with a tax man. Like, how disgusting are you, dude? Right? But Ted DiBiase was that guy that you had to hate because he was better than you. He had more money than you. And unlike the chicken shit heel he was trying to portray, when it came down to it and that cartoonish suit came off, he could go. So, and they tried the babyface thing with him in WCW, managing the Steiners after leaving the NWO, which is why I found your picture so meaningful, because you included Ted, and I appreciate the hell out of that. But yeah, it just didn't work, and that's why he was gone. And like I said earlier, Bischoff becoming part of that group completely pigeonholed both Paul White and Ted DiBiase, because Hogan didn't need a muscle behind him because he had Easy talking, and he didn't need Ted DiBiase talking because he had Bischoff. So, again, I apologize for the coming out of context with my actual number 1 was supposed to be DiBiase, but in trying to move graphics around for the plugs during the break, I freaking moved DiBiase so far down, I lost the image. So, But yeah, DiBiase will always be my favorite heel, and I will forever argue that if Vince McMahon can strip or demand that Stone Cold Steve Austin hand over the Intercontinental Championship and The Rock can have a recognized second run as the Intercontinental Champion because of it, then DiBiase should have the exact same thing, because Andre won it legitimately. The referee's decision is final, and he handed the title to Ted DiBiase.
And then DiBiase defended it on the house show circuit.
Fucking A! We need to find somebody that had a camcorder that hasn't come forward because they're too much of a chicken, and provide proof. Because there's images of him being introduced in arenas as the champion. Those were tag matches with Andre against Hogan and Bigelow. But he did successfully, at least twice, defend the WWF Championship against Bam Bam Bigelow on the house show circuit. He will forever be on my list of great heel WWF World Champions because, damn it, he earned it. And he did it the American way because he bought and paid for it.
Damn right.
Because everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man, even Andre the Giant. That's why he's the best.
And speaking of having a price, let's get to these advertisements that have been paid for us to show here this afternoon.
Yes.
So what have we got first, good sir?
Well, actually, it's your stuff because you have had quite the week, as you have been all month with the Duke himself. So Monday, of course, was one of my favorites. Sons of Katie Elder. I just love this movie. So I love the cast of this movie so much. First of all, good Lord Almighty. And I was proud of my dad. I'm going to give myself a little Barry Horowitz moment here. Let me go ahead and do that real quick here. Or actually, you know what? That was more of an AC Slater and Zach than a Barry Harwood. So we'll go ahead and do it. We'll say Slater and Zach for that one. But I actually found the song for Katie Elder in my Instagram story post. I was like, there you go. We're doing that. So that was on Monday.
Nice.
So this last Wednesday before I did my thing and AW did their thing, we had your review of El Dorado, another classic John Wayne movie that my dad and grandfather both loved.
Loved the fact that young James Caan and younger that I'm used to seeing him, Ed Asner, were in this.
Right! Like,
freaking Kyra was in the kitchen, and I was like, you see that guy standing right there in the back?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah. I was like, it's Carl from Up. She's like, it even kind of looks like him. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, they totally designed Carl to look like a Asner, which is not lost on our generation at all. But the kids are like, I don't get it. Yeah,
she gets it.
She gets it because she educated. She know better. And then just before we took the air today on this Friday, Chisholm. Oh man.
Yes. Okay. And for those of you that have seen my review, you know I kind of got into this a little bit, but
yes,
I love that this is a different side of the story
about
Billy the Kid and the Lincoln County Wars.
Right?
I did not realize that going in.
Oh, there you go. It
wasn't until I went to the wiki page beforehand, like I sometimes do, to see if there's enough notes or if I have to take my own notes.
Yes.
And I'm seeing Tunstall, McSween, Murphy, Dolan, William H. Bonney, and I'm like,
wait.
Okay. Let me get strapped in here because we all know me and my young guns.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm glad I didn't know that watching that review that you didn't know. So that was good.
Well,
I
mentioned it in the review.
Right.
Know, but like
right. That's what I meant. Yeah. It was that's awesome. That's great. I love it. That's so good.
It definitely blindsided me at first, and it definitely made me look more forward to sitting through the movie because some of the John Wayne ones have been a bit of a chore to watch.
Yes.
Others not so much.
Right.
This one being about a familiar topic for me, again, Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett, the Lincoln County War, definitely made it easy for me to sit through.
Absolutely. And then, of course, tomorrow is New Release Saturday.
Yes.
And I put this out there when I went to see this movie on Monday that I always look forward to as my boy. We so rarely get those as it is. And he asked me, do I want to go see this? And I'm like, I thought to myself, I haven't seen the first two the whole way through in a long time because I did that major binge, going into Endgame. But I'm like, you know what? Let's go see it, bud. Why not? And I was chuckling so much you're ragging on Batista because I just saw the damn movie last night as we tape this, this past Monday as we air this. But I was impressed as hell with this movie, and I'm so glad I went and saw it. I even don't mind spending the $17.50 I paid for it, because golly,
you got to go to bargain matinees, good sir.
Oh, well, you know what, though? It's one of those, he came up after school. You want to go see it? Like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do the thing, bud. But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I also turned to Dylan and I said, we're not seeing Marvel movies first run anymore. Every time you take me one of these, I bawl my freaking eyes out. Endgame, No Way Home, and this. In theater with the boy. I can't do that much processing of crying no more. I can't do this shit. And if you haven't seen Guardians, bring the tissues, kids. Because
that's why I didn't go see Black Panther 2 in theaters.
Fucking right. Oh my God. It's ridiculous what they do to us. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, definitely want to see your review of it. Want to see your thoughts on it. Definitely want to see what you think of Guardians because I am an admitted not a company man when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because I didn't grow up a Marvel person. But man, these movies are just so layered. Even now, having not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Volumes 1 and 2 in a long time the whole way through, I was able to get back into the mindset of, okay, I'm in the MCU. Like, I was able to get it, and the story they tell in Volume 3 is so deep and layered that I got sucked in. and I was a complete mess. So I applaud Marvel Studios for Volume 3 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Can't recommend enough. Even not being an accompaniment, I would still recommend. And then, of course, Sunday will be the first Warzone after the 50 Cent era. Am I correct in that statement?
After the 50 Cent DVD era. I still got 50 Cent Blu-rays to show off.
Ooh, well, look at you, Mr. Highball in there with the Blu-rays. I am impressed.
I haven't filmed it yet, but take that down. This entire bag.
Goddamn.
50 Cent Blu-rays.
That's bananas. Good for you, man. That's
probably
awesome.
Enough where I could do 2 more episodes, but I've been telling people that like it was almost over, so I'm just going to plow through that entire bag in 1 episode.
Right.
It's going to be a double length episode. It's going to be a long one, but it is what it is because I feel like people are getting tired of the 50 Cent shtick.
That's fair.
Since they're no longer 50 cents at the store.
Right.
So, they're seeing all this stuff. Then they're going to the store looking for 50 Cent and they're ringing up $1.25. Although I have said the last couple weeks that they are back to regular price. So
yes.
But I feel like the shtick has worn out its welcome. So just going to get through all these Blu-rays in 1 show.
But that's not all we're doing this weekend is having you review movies. No. So I'll get to Sunday first because I feel like Sunday, even though we're not going to be there and it's still a major thing for the company and for us to cover it, it's not as important as Saturday's show for us. So we'll go ahead and talk about Sunday because Sunday, New Japan is in town, baby.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed we're not able to go to this.
I know.
But stuff happens, life happens. The Mouse Mafia calls.
They do.
Nikki orders Meacham to be at the house.
Yes.
And it just kind of is what it is,
Yep. And,
Pete would have let you go to this, but Mickey the Mouse says, F that.
Yeah. If we're being completely honest with our fans, like we try to do on this show and on these channels, had the money been there up front, I would have found a way to trade the shift or switch the shift or whatever. But just the money to buy the ticket in advance is what ultimately derailed us. And the fact that I got called in for a shift is like, okay, well, I need the money. And again, more honesty, if transit wasn't what it was in this part of the world for me, not being a driver on a Sunday, and they had me in the morning, I could have made to Long Beach because the 50 goes right there, right by the pyramid. So, but it was not meant to be.
No.
So when they return, we will find a way.
But we will still be covering it, as Jeff said, on the Multiverse Media.
Yes.
Noah and James on the call, and we may do a special 3-man booth for this show.
Absolutely.
Just because in addition to all of the New Japan talent from Japan that, I can't wax proxy on.
Right.
There are going to be quite a few SoCal people on this show, like the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, like Tyler Bateman, like Bad Dude Tito.
Yes, love
all of whom have deep roots out here who we saw before they were, if you will.
Yes.
And I can give knowledge and intel and color commentary that James would not be able to provide on people like that.
Yes.
So at least for those 3 matches, it may be a 3-man booth, and then I'll just kind of sit out for the other stuff. But
yeah, I would be curious, and I'll if you guys do a post show or whatever when I'm on the road, I'll try to catch it later. But I'm curious to your thoughts on Mercedes Moné returning to SoCal, even for New Japan. I'm definitely curious what you think of. It's not much, There you go. But the day before, this coming Saturday, is the first of our many game nights on Open Mic Night that are going to be coming this year. And I am so looking forward to that. JJ, I've kind of assigned myself the task, if we're going to be real, but it's been a collaborative effort as to me being the one who is going to be, and has been, for the better part of, I'd say a couple weeks now, really, maybe this last week, gathering the questions for this, because it definitely looks like I've been the one doing that because it's been easy for me to get the response on social media. But this Saturday on Open Mic Night, Game Night, will be our very first, and it'll be a Saturday skirmish, Family Feud style. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are too. You get to be a part of it. It's going to be a rare time you're not going to be actively hosting or moderating that part of Open Mic Night, because that'll be Mr. Foster's responsibility.
Yes, Noah will be the host. He is Mr. Game Show here on the Multiverse of Media, and Jeff is producer man for that episode. Like he said, he's been taking the survey, if you will, because if we're being honest, he's got the biggest followers. You know, it just kind of is what it is.
I was even still surprised at the response I got off the first question. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to run with it. Hell with it. Because people are responding to them. And one more went up. You know, it's going to go up after we're done recording this as you're watching this live. But it went up Tuesday before Statboy Sports Bar. So looking forward to the responses on Saturday from the teams.
Yes.
As of this taping, we do have 2 teams of at least 3, possibly 4. So it's going to be a hell of a Saturday night. And then we are still going to have Open Mic Night proper.
Yes.
We'll just have the game
after the game
yes.
night. And Open Mic Game Night is hopefully, let me say that one more time, hopefully going to be a monthly thing in the months where there is no karaoke night.
Yes.
So if we have a karaoke night that month, like we have coming up in August, there will be no game night in August.
Right.
So
right.
It'll either be a game night or a karaoke night each month.
Right. Or November, right, Noah? Oh boy. Anyway. Let's see. What else? Oh, okay. So of course you can catch the Renegade on Renegade's Reviews all week long, pretty much feels like. Throwback Thursday every Thursday on the Casian Studios. Where are we at? Week 12 this week, right? Or week 11 this week? And week 12 next
12
week?
this week.
Man, oh man.
Getting ready for week 13.
Man, and I enjoy going back and watch, not my stuff. I hate watching myself. I've made that.
I was going to say, do you really enjoy it?
No, not my damn self. No, but I do enjoy going back and watching some of the other stuff because it's just so crazy. I'll say it all the time, how far we've come, how much we've grown as performers, as personalities, as, you know, editing, all the things we do now. It's crazy how many steps we've taken in relatively short amount of time. Really. Yeah. So
the most fun one that I had putting together for this week was the episode of Statboy Rants.
Yes.
Because it was a 9-part episode as we had done our thoughts on VH1's top 100 songs of the year 2000s.
Yeah.
So from 2000 to 2009.
Yes, I remember that.
And
oh my God.
It was Statboy hosting, obviously. I was there for him throughout the whole ride, and it was our buddy Bruce, my daughter's godfather.
Yes.
And it's a long one. It's definitely an endurance test because, again, it was 9 parts that was cut into 1.
Yes.
But, man, it's fun to go back and watch our thoughts on some of those.
Yes, definitely.
So if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend that you go back and check out that episode of Statboy Rants.
Yes.
Which I believe I partnered with the No DQ review because that was 1 hour. Mm-hmm. And then I did Statboy Rants after it. So it'll be one video.
There you go. Perfect.
So,
and by the way,
check that out.
I do need to commend you on the way you lay out the Throwback Thursdays because you do it in segments where they're long, you know, but they're also not, you don't have to watch them all, you know, and you know a lot of them luckily can be like the podcast we used to listen to. We were working our respective times at Wally World. Throw them on in your headset and, you know, walk around and get shit done around the house, or, you know, throw them on in the car. You know, they're not always a visual must.
No.
But I mean, to be fair, Bruce's facial expressions at Mikey's answers are just, you have to see those. But because
Bruce is Bruce.
Because Bruce is Bruce, and that's just tremendous. Yeah, Bruce is like the godfather of everybody when it comes to music and wrestling
Horror
back
movies.
then, and movies, and especially Star Wars, because you guys are my two Sith lords, and we love you for that. Also, each and every week, of course, talk wrestling Talk wrestling is what it is, and it will be what it will be until I decide I'm over it, and I'm not over it yet by a long shot. I thought I was a couple times over the years, but I fooled myself as I do.
Broadcasting live from the Jeff Meacham Towers.
Right here, baby, in Stamford, Connecticut, because we own the world, and we will corrupt your children, even if Disney won't, damn it, because that's what we do on this channel. The next time you see us together as the Dads, Not Always on Wrestling, will be another wrestling show, however, in 2 weeks, because our show in 4 weeks is geared toward a birthday boy that particular weekend who dabbled in the curses of black pearls and the scissoring of hands and things. So, but in the meantime, our next show will be the top 10 must-see moments of the Monday Night War. And that'll be Friday, June 2nd, 2 weeks from today. Which we have not canned yet, so we're actually not even in the pre-production part of that show yet. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think that one might end up being a joint list.
I think it will too, and I only agree with that because that's when you really started watching, was during 1998 and into the end of the war. So I would think that would be it would basically be what were JJ's top 10 must-see moments, because he lived right through it in his fandom's infancy. And for me, it'll be like, I will more than likely be like, absolutely, be like, okay, yeah, but what about this one? And it'll be very few, like, where I'll be like, nope. Because living through it in your infancy of your fandom is so much more. It's more visceral. It's more, heartfelt for you. Me, we did a 1990 or 91 list or 91, 92 list. I'd be like, nah, I'm taking the lead on this one. But, we talk about your first major pay-per-view that you remember actually being actively involved in the stories leading up to it was SummerSlam 98. There was no more Attitude Era pay-per-view than SummerSlam 98, man. It's at the Garden. It's Austin Undertaker, DX and the Nation. It's just there. All that's there for you. The only element that wasn't part of that show majorly was Vince McMahon being on screen. Everything else was right there for you. Even Shane was on Heat, I think, that night. So, everybody was there. So I will definitely agree that I'm going to have fun doing that show, regardless of where we land on our list. But that's going to be a fun episode of Dads, and I'm looking forward to it, brother. So that's it for the shows. That's what cost me DiBiase getting this big moment without a hiccup, is organizing all them graphics. So, Statboy Sports Bar. I don't have a graphic because I never know if it's going to be Statboy Sports Bar or Lou Sports Bar. So watch Mikey and or Dory on Tuesdays.
Yes.
On the Casa channel. Casa channel. So, but I digress.
So thank you guys for joining us and tuning in today as we discussed our top 10 heels of all time. What did you think of the lists? Whose list did you like more? Let us know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. If you're watching live the premiere, leave your thoughts and comments over there by Meacham and Rex. If you're watching on demand later in the day, leave your thoughts and comments down there. And let's have that conversation, that discussion, that debate, that interaction that I'm always asking you guys for in the comments below.
Yes, please do that.
For the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade of Wrestling JJ Williams. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us here today, and we will see you guys next time.